All right, so you want to create a PDF document when somebody signs an agreement in your website or your application. This is a tutorial for you. Here's one of my apps, callers.io. It's a very big app, and we make sure all our end users actually sign an agreement, and we generate a PDF when they do that. Let me show you a quick demo. So when they log in, they have to go through a checklist. The first thing they do is they read our terms of service, and once they agree, they enter their full name. Let me enter mine. And when they click on sign and submit, what we do in the background is we are creating an actual PDF with their name, their signature, and their IP address. And once that process is complete, they can download that PDF right from their dashboard. And at the end, we show their signature, their name, date of signature, the account email, and the IP address from which they signed it. So how can you create something like this? That's what we're going to cover in this tutorial here. We'll be using Xano and a neat little app called Documentro. So Documentro is the app we use to create these PDF documents dynamically, and Xano is where we manage all the logic and we store our documents and whatnot. So get yourself an account in Documentro. You can visit documentro.com. If you check pricing, I don't think it's too bad. You can create 100 documents for $19. For starters, for testing, they offer a free plan too. So why not, right? So get a Documentro account and create your first document template. So you have to first create a document template. You can create that by clicking on Create Template, which will show you the template creation window. Pretty, self-explanatory. It's like a Word document or whatever. They have a template gallery where you can, select any type of template you want. So depending on your business, this may change. So I am going to just stick with one of the sample documents, right? That's it. I don't need this big of a document too. I'll just delete all this. We'll add maybe IP address. Actually, you know what? I have a template already created. Let's look at that, because why should I create a new one? So I have a template here I created for the test. It just has the client name, the company name, contact person, and for fun I added cat's name. I don't know why. Felt like cats are important too. Cat life matters. Then I also added signature. So how can you modify or add new fields? I forgot to cover that. So if you want to add a new field, for example, IP address, all you need to do is from the right top corner, they have a field button or a thing or whatever. So just put that in, like type in your name or field name, then click on insert, and it will insert that field here. That's how I inserted this signature. But for signature, instead of field, you will go for image. All right. So sign. If I insert that, that's how it's going to look like. So whatever you use as a dynamic tag, which means it's inside the curly brackets, curly braces. If it's inside curly braces, that can be dynamically updated and created into a PDF using Documentro's API. So that's the whole idea. So here's the sales proposal. I have client name, company name, contact person, cat's name, IP address, and signature. I am going to click on save. All right, I just saved it. Now, by default, Documentro would be creating your templates in a format called DOCX. It's a format used by nobody else in the world. So you should change that to PDF by clicking on Edit Settings and Output Format, set it to PDF, all right? Make sure you do that. I kind of missed it and ended up creating DOCX format, which I couldn't even open. So make sure you set it to PDF. Then let's go ahead and click on this cloud button, which will help us create our document. So when you click on it, it's going to give us API documentation on how to create a document. It's going to show us how should we send them an API request to create a PDF document? So we should send an API request to this URL here, which will be a post request, and the payload we should include looks like this. All right. So keep this in mind. We are going to use this in our Xano function to create our document. So let's go ahead and create our Xano function to create this PDF document. All right, so I have created a test Xano function here. It's called create PDF underscore documentro, and I've added the necessary inputs. Remember, I am collecting client name, company name, contact person, cat's name, IP address, and signature. All of these are text. Even the signature is a text, because sometimes the signature, it can be a URL to an image. Sometimes from your front end, you'll be sending a base 64 encoded data. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. Don't stress over it. Just think of it as a different way of representing an image, right? So if your cat's image looks like a cat, for computers, it's 10101010 blah, 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 right? So just like that, it's a different form of representing an image. And sometimes from your front end, you'll be sending it as that kind of data. So depending on that, this changes. But text works for everything. So that's why I stick to text here. So we have client name, which obviously is a text, company name, contact person, cat name, IP address, and signature. Those are our inputs. Now let's go ahead and bring our Documentro API to Xano. So let's add an API, external API request, right? So the URL will be the URL which we brought in, and method will be post. And under params, we will be pasting what we got from this. And we will be using width filters because it's just easy. I know a lot of people are eyeing and screenshotting my API. To them, I want to say because I am thinking ahead of you guys. My API key is hidden as a variable, so I'll bind that. Now, format is PDF. Make sure this is PDF, not docx. Nobody can open docx. Client name, we will map it to the input client name. Company name, we will map it to the company name. Again, in your document, depending on what document you're creating, these fields might change, right? In my document, which I showed at the beginning, I had, I guess, an email. In this, there is no email. This is a test. So cat's name can be anything. I will bind it to the input. Signature, for now, we will bind it to the input. Signature, all right. And IP, we will bind it to the IP address as well. And the output object, we will just call it documentro. All right. Now let's try creating a test document. Client name will be Abby Abraham. Company name, Republic of No Code. Contact person, Abby Abraham again. Cat name, Zuzi. I don't have a cat. IP address 192.168.1.1. Doesn't really matter. Later I'll show you how you can map the real IP address of a requester to this in Xano. It's very handy. Signature. So here, for now, for this test, we will just map in this fake signature I found in the internet, or maybe it's a real signature. I don't know. So we'll just add that PNG image and we will run this. So this is how the response is going to look like. If I just look at the result, you can see under data, there is a URL, and I am going to open this URL up. There you go, sales proposal. Abby Abraham, Republic of No Code. Abby Abraham again, Suzu, which is my cat's name, lovely cat. 192.168.1, whatever, the IP address, and the signature we got. How cool is that? Now, in a real endpoint, so since this is a function, doesn't have access to any of the stuff like IP address or anything. And by the way, in Xano, you can return just the result. So instead of returning the entire response, let's go ahead and only return response.result. So let's go ahead and create a test endpoint here. All right, so we just created this endpoint here. Now let's go ahead and call our function. Since I use the same name, Xano is gonna help me map all the fields automatically. Other than IP, I didn't include IP. I want to take the IP automatically from the requester's IP address. So just instead of putting in a variable, what we're gonna do is we're going to go for a special type of variable called environment variable, which contains remote IP. So this will contain the IP address of the requester, right? So we're going to add that, and for sign, we will again supply the URL here. And yeah, I guess that is it. Now if I click on run, it should create the new document. I forgot to include cat's name. I hope it still worked. Yeah, cat's name, they didn't fill it in because I sent a null to the API, but you can see client name, company, everything is working properly. I am creating PDF documents, right? Now, how can you download this document and save this in Xano so that, in your document or whatever, so that you can access it anytime you want? So I will open our databases, and I'll just create okay, let's do a user template or user table. And in here, you have to add a storage, and you can do attachment metadata. I will call it agreement. All right. This can be in any table you want, but we'll just do it here. And I'll create my own. I can't spell. Don't judge me, guys. Okay. So I'll create my own user just, to make things easy. Now, there are two steps you need to do. You cannot just directly put in this URL into our database. That's going to create problems. So first you need to create something called attachment metadata. So that just means download the document from the server into Xano server, and then you link that to the document you just downloaded into your server. So you might be wondering why not just use the URL which is sent by document row. Document row may delete the URL after few years or whatever. If these documents are important, it's safer in your own server than in somebody else's server. That's why we do this. Okay, so file storage, open that, and you'll go for create attachment metadata, and you will put in the value as this function, and you will go for function1.data. All right. File name is optional. You can leave it blank. It will take the file name of whatever file you are using, and let's call it file. All right. Then we are going to edit, or in this case, I'm going to edit. Use your own logics to control where you want to put this in. I'm going to put it into the first user's row, so user ID 1. All right, and under agreement we will map file. All right, and we'll click on save. I am going to publish. You don't really have to publish, but this time let's add a cat's name. Give me a cat's name. Ferreira. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's gonna call their cat Pereira. Even that with the wrong spelling. Wow, tough life for that cat. Okay, so now we are still seeing file, but what happened in the background is if you go to library and there is this thing called public files. If you open that, you will see a new file that was downloaded onto your Xano server, right? And this server, this file is now mapped to this user so that you can download it from your own server. You don't have to rely on document row or whatever. So you can download it from your server, and you can keep all these records. So that's how we keep all the records in our app. Now, at the beginning, I said you won't always have a signature like this to send. Instead, from VWeb or any front end you use, you will be sending something called an encoded base64 encoded data. So in that case, you will first create an image metadata by going to file storage and create image metadata, and you will map that signature value onto it, and then you will send the signature value into document row. All right, so that's how you would do it if you were to send base64 encoded information from your front end. But again, that will make this tutorial too long. That's why I'm not covering it. If you need that, you can comment below and I will create a video on that too. So this is how you create PDF documents when somebody signs an agreement in your application using Xano and Document Row. I will leave links to both of these apps down below. This is Abby from Republic of No Code, and I will see you in the next video.